Emily grew up in a quiet American town where people smiled at each other and doors were rarely locked. She was thoughtful, hopeful, and full of plans for the future. Like many young women, she dreamed of building a life filled with respect, warmth, and stability. When she met Jason, he seemed to fit perfectly into that dream. He was confident, attentive, and made her feel chosen. In the beginning, he listened to her, praised her, and promised a future that sounded beautiful. What Emily didn't understand then was that abuse often wears a friendly face at first. After they moved in together, small things began to change. Jason started questioning her choices, what she wore, where she went, who she talked to. He framed it as concern, as love. Emily adjusted, telling herself that relationships required compromise. Slowly, without realizing it, her world became smaller. Friends drifted away. Phone calls went unanswered. Her laughter became rare. The first time he shouted at her, she was shocked. The first insult cut deeper than she expected. But when he apologized, when he cried and blamed stress, she forgave him. She believed him when he said it would never happen again. She wanted to believe him because the alternative meant accepting a truth she wasn't ready to face. Then one night, anger crossed a line that IT happened quickly. A push, a slap, silence afterward. Jason said it was a mistake, that he lost control for just a moment. Emily stood frozen, more hurt by the fear in her chest than the pain on her skin. That night, something inside her changed, though she didn't yet have words for it. From that point on, fear became part of daily life. Emily learned how to read his moods, how to speak carefully, how to avoid anything that might trigger his rage. She covered bruises with makeup and excuses. At work, she smiled. At home, she survived. She told herself that other people had it worse, that she was overreacting, that leaving would only make things more dangerous. The abuse was not constant, which made it harder to name. Between the violence were moments of calm, even kindness. Those moments kept her hoping. They kept her trapped. Years passed like this. Emily felt invisible, as if the woman she once was had slowly disappeared. She blamed herself for staying. She wondered if she deserved this life. Sometimes, late at night, she stared at the ceiling and imagined what freedom might feel like, then pushed the thought away because it seemed impossible. The breaking point came on a cold evening after an argument that began over nothing. Jason's anger exploded. When Emily locked herself in the bathroom, her hands were shaking so badly she could barely stand. She looked at her reflection and barely recognized herself. Her eyes were tired, her face pale, her spirit worn down. In that moment, a single thought broke through the fear. If I stay, I may not survive. When Jason forced the door open, Emily didn't scream. She didn't fight, but something inside her made a quiet, irreversible decision. This would be the last time. The next morning, while the house was silent, Emily packed a small bag. She left behind almost everything she owned. She didn't leave a note. She didn't have a clear plan. All she had was the determination to live. She drove until her hands stopped shaking and walked into a women's shelter she had once passed without noticing. Crossing that doorway felt humiliating and terrifying, but it was also the first time in years she felt safe enough to breathe. The days that followed were not easy. Emily struggled with guilt, fear, and deep emotional pain. Nights were filled with nightmares. She questioned her worth. She questioned her strength. But slowly, with counseling and support, she began to understand something important. What happened to her was not her fault. Listening to other women's stories opened her eyes. Their experiences mirrored her own. Different faces, different details, but the same fear, the same silence. For the first time, Emily felt seen. Healing did not happen all at once. It came in small steps. A therapy session, a support group meeting, a moment of laughter she didn't expect. Piece by piece, She began to rebuild her life. Emily returned to school and studied social work. She wanted to understand abuse, not just as pain, but as a cycle she could help break. She volunteered at the same shelter that had given her refuge. At first, she simply listened. Then she began to speak. Her voice was steady, even when her hand shook. Over time, Emily became an advocate. She helped women find safe housing. She stood beside them in courtrooms. She answered late-night calls filled with fear and doubt. Each time she spoke, she reclaimed a part of herself that abuse had tried to take away. She no longer introduced herself as a survivor. She introduced herself as a helper. Today, Emily's story reaches far beyond her own life. She reminds others that silence is not strength and leaving is not failure. She teaches that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "You deserve better." Abuse once tried to define her. Instead, she transformed it into a purpose. And through her voice, countless others have found the courage to begin again.